Good evening and welcome to today's rundown. I'm Miko Santos. Markets around the world continue to reels as Donald Trump sweeping tariffs take effects. Meanwhile, Australia's leaders face off in their first election debate amid growing economic concerns. Let's dive into today's top stories. Global markets have plunged dramatically in response to Donald Trump's new tariff policy, with Asian markets bearing the brunt of the sell-off. Taiwan markets dropped by 10%, the biggest percentage fall in one of the day on record. China's Shanghai Composite Index dropped 7% in its worst day in 5 years. Hong Kong Hang Seng dropped 13%, the biggest single day drop since 1997. Australia's share market shed 110 billion in value, closing to 4.2% lower. The Australian dollar has weakened to just 60 US cents as investors flee to safe haven asset. Economic analysts warn that could be just the beginning, with Greg Jericho, chief economist at Australian Institute, suggesting more turbulence ahead.
If he keeps this in place, it actually does do real harm, not just to Americans who are suddenly having to pay more for hamburgers, but it starts hurting people in China, starts hurting people in Australia, and that's a big worry because we might have the first global recession where you can purely blame it on one person.
Financial markets are now pricing in 5 interest rate cut by the end of the year, a dramatically shift from expectation just 1 week ago as fears of a global recession mount. China has firmly rejected Trump tariffs, calling them economic bullying, and promising to stand its ground to the end. Beijing faced potential tariff up to 104% on its export to the US, after Trump threatening to hike rates unless China dropped its retaliatory 34% tariff. Chinese officials have met with major American companies including Tesla, GE Healthcare, urging them to address the problem at its roots and help safeguard global supply chains. Meanwhile, countries across Asia are scrambling to negotiate with Trump administration. Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, as well as Taiwan, are seeking urgent talks to avoid crippling tariffs of up to 49% on their exports. In Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and opposition leader Peter Dutton faced off in their first election debate last night, with economic management taking center stage.
What this election is about, though, is what happens next. Whether we continue to build on those foundations with a tax cut for all 14 million Australians, strengthening Medicare, including those bulk billing rates getting up to 90%, and making sure we have urgent care clinics, free TAFE, the 20% off student debt, and making more things here in Australia through a future made in Australia.
Mr. Dutton countered with his own economic vision, focusing on immediate cost of living relief.
I want to provide support to Australians from the first day that we're elected, and that is through a 25 cent a litre cut to fuel, both diesel and unleaded. It'll help families, it'll help businesses, it'll help pensioners, and it will help the economy. In addition to that, we want to make sure that we can get gas for Australians so that we can fix up the energy system, which is driving up the cost of everything. And if we can do that, we can get our country back on track. That's a positive plan that I want to talk about, and I want to say thank you very much for being here today.
The debate highlighted the stark differences in their approaches to economic management, with Albanese accusing Dutton of planning cuts to fund nuclear power, while Dutton warned of a recession under Labour. Mental health has emerged as the key election issue, with the Labour government pledging $1 billion for mental health resources.
I'm really proud of this announcement. We've been talking with Professor McGorry, but our team going through the processes when we were working out our policies for this election. We were very clear that we wanted to strengthen Medicare. How do we improve GP services? But we want to do more than that as well. The urgent care clinics. But this announcement isn't an add-on. This is a central part
The coalition has matched Labor's $8.5 billion commitment to Medicare funding, promising to train more GPs with $400 million investment. Health experts have identified multiple factors driving the mental health crisis, including socioeconomic pressures.
Mega trends in society over the last 20 or 30 years, particularly socioeconomic, I can say, injuries to young people, and I think the government's addressing that in a number of ways. Student debt, housing costs, climate change. All of these mega trends are conspiring to make the lives and futures of young people much more challenging and pessimistic. So that, we think that's probably the main cause. There are other contributory causes, but we need to do a lot more work on what is actually driving this crisis.
As global markets continue to react to Trump tariff and Australian election campaign intensify, the economic landscape remains highly uncertain. Thank you for joining us for today's rundown. For the latest news and analysis, visit redmencarry.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also support our work by following us on all major podcasting platforms. I'm Miko Santos. Stay informed and see you tomorrow.